Everybody, welcome back. This is Barbecue Roundtable. I'm your host, Jason Hardy with Elite Barbecue Smokers. Get this party started. So we have a good show tonight. We're going to be talking about questions and stuff that we've been hearing over the years for barbecue. See if we kind of get some insights to that. So if you have any questions, any comments, leave it here. Again, make sure you go to our YouTube channel, like and share the page. Go to Barbecue Music, go to Barbecue Roundtable. You can see some old shows. So all that being stated, let's get this party started. How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody having a good time? Enjoying the weather. I know around here today it's been absolutely beautiful weather today. That's one of the days you want to just get out and go out there and just be outside all day and do some stuff. Well, it was absolutely beautiful today. But I know with that, the pollen's getting ready to start. So all the clean smokers we've had this winter time is getting ready to get yellow with the pollen. So it's going to be fun shooting videos, having clean smokers all the time. But if you got any questions, comments, like I said, just leave them down here below. We'd like to answer them. But we'll kind of get into some questions that we've been asked over the years recently. Some questions about barbecue that I think would be some interesting stuff to share with some other people. But again, if you got any questions, leave in the comments. We'll see what we got. The first question that I have kind of been asked has been this right here. What distinguishes competition barbecue from traditional backyard barbecue? I think that this situation is, like I was telling the gentleman the other day, is actually a one bite. So with traditional barbecue, you're feeding a family, you're feeding a group of people. So you want to basically make your barbecue taste good, but you want people to get full and eat barbecue, like catering or whatever else. So that's what you do on that situation. So you're always kind of provide food for the family. So you want it good, but you want to be good across the entire spectrum. In a competition barbecue, you're doing a one bite challenge. That's what you're doing per se. Because think about it, if we're doing the chicken, that judge is getting 6 samples of chicken, 6 samples of ribs, 6 samples of pork, and 6 samples of brisket. That's a lot of food. So they're not going to eat the entire entry you turn in for pork if you turn in a big thing of pulled pork. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. We're trying to get back into the situation as far as saying, all right, what can I do for that one bite challenge to be the best one bite that they've had all day long? And so that's where I think it's kind of gets very complicated. Almost sometimes we make it too complicated because we're looking at a one bite challenge. But another thing to think about that is when you're doing a one bite challenge, you're also now more affected by the elements. So when we were down in Florida, it was mild weather. We was able to turn food in, and I feel like it would stay warmer. We done a contest the other day in the mountains that they're not in Iron Station, North Carolina, great contest, but it was colder. So that affects the food. So food might cool down a little more than it did down in Florida. And so that's going to affect the taste, the texture, and everything else. So there's different factors going into that one bite challenge. But at the end of the day, it is truly a one bite challenge. It's the biggest difference between competition and backyard. So we're really focusing on what can we do for that one bite to really be the wow factor into it. And that's what we do a lot with. Now the other side of it is competition barbecue is really truly a texture game. If you can hit that texture, so they get the texture when they bite it, cold, whatever weather, doesn't matter. They're going to get the really good bite, really good chew. Then they can appreciate the rubs, appreciate the flavors in there, and then that's going to help it kind of go over the moon. So that's kind of the way I look at when we start doing the competition barbecue. What's the secret? So what's the secret to keeping your skin on your thighs? Well, I'd actually ask that question to you. What are you cooking on? If you're cooking on like me with a drum cooker, it's going to be kind of a heavy heat, high heat really fast. And so that's kind of what a lot of us are using the pizza pans. And so we take the skin and kind of wrap it underneath it. We put it on the pizza pan. It's got a little grooves in it. And it kind of holds that chicken so that the skin doesn't pull back off of it. So that's kind of one of the things we do with the pizza pans. So that kind of keeps it so that whenever like a gateway drum, same thing. It kind of puts the pans on there. You kind of leave your skin a little bit long. You put it on there. And then with that heat, it's like if you start at 350 degrees, you let it go for the first 15 minutes, you rotate it, another 15 minutes at 350 degrees, then you pull it out, you put it in the butter bath. So in that time when you pull it out, then you put your diverter in there, and then you put your chicken back in the smoker in the butter bath with Kerrygold butter, whatever else you got, and then you basically take it and you can then kind of get have the bite through skin. I take all the fat off the skin. I scrape it. I'm actually going to do a YouTube video, a competition chicken. That's one I'm going to try to do this week because I really haven't done one before. but I scrape the skin. Now I know a lot of guys leave a little patch of fat right over the meat because they feel like it gives more moisture to it. So that's a trial and error. That's something that whatever you do that you get comfortable with, that you feel like you're competitive with that, I'd stick with that. So if I take all the skin off because to me it's a factor that I can't control and I don't want to deal with it, so I just take it off. Um, it's a funny thing I was telling somebody the other day. If we look at cooking a brisket, so by the time we trim a brisket and we inject the brisket, put a rub on brisket, smoke a brisket, the entire process will probably take competition, I'd say 9 hours. 8 to 9 hours would be the max on there by the time we do the entire process. And the funny part about it is with chicken, it's going to probably be about 2 hours and 15-minute window to cook, I think. But I'm going to spend another 3 hours of prepping the chicken, and then another hour and a half, 2 hours of brining the chicken. So at the end of the day, it still basically create the same amount of time to get that little one bite for chicken as I would for a brisket, which is kind of funny when you think about it, but that's kind of name of the game in a sense. Using Heath Riles products for chicken, the chicken rub, the honey rub, is my main rubs I use for the chicken. I keep playing with some other rubs in there. That third rub kind of gives me different flavors, but I don't necessarily say there's one I stick with all the time. I think the last time I used was actually Heath Riles Competition rub. I've used Gateway Drums, Blues Hogs, Sweet and Smoky, or the sweet rub they've got. I use that. I use Cimarron Docks. I use Steffi Style, different rubs in there. But Heath Riles Chicken Rub and Heath Riles Honey Rubs are probably my main two rubs. And the other one I just kind of might play with if I'm trying to get a different flavor in there. So that's kind of what I look at with the chicken. I see a lot of chickens with so I see a lot of chickens with that real glossy look on them. Is there anything special about that? I would say that would be something that I would actually look at your chicken. You got getting your sauce hot and having your sauce where it's not too thick. A lot of times you see that you're getting the flavor you're looking for, but the sauce is hot. When you dip it in there, the hot chicken, pull it out, it kind of runs off of it. If your sauce is cold and you're doing that, it's going to kind of get blotchy up chicken on there, and it's going to kind of be a thick coat of sauce on there. That's what's going to give it a really dark red look to it. And the glossy chicken is usually kind of maybe a thinner sauce. It also could be because it's warm when you put chicken on there, and it kind of just runs off the sides. And that's kind of what I look at with chicken. There's good questions about chicken. But that's kind of go back to the competition. I'm not going to spend that much time for family functions or catering unless I'm practicing chicken to do a chicken thigh for the family backyard, whereas I am for competition for that one bite challenge. So that's just something that's a perfect example of the difference between the two of them. Now with legs, it don't take as much time. I know some guys are doing it. I've tried it a few times. I've just never felt like that I could be super competitive on the legs. I know some guys are doing a really good job with it. I just feel like that I haven't been competitive enough with it. Wish I could because it's a lot easier to prep them. But I just think that at the end of the day, for me, I think the thigh, I have a better recipe for thighs than I do for legs. If I were getting a new barbecue trailer, would an 8x20 6.5 foot be suitable to haul 4 drums to KCBS this fall? I'd say yes. I would actually say that I would get the trailer with it's probably 8.5 foot, just because you want the wheels, that extra foot with the wheels being inside the trailer rather than outside the trailer. So give you a little more room inside so you can move stuff around. You put tables and stuff in there. That extra width on both sides. I think it's 8.5 foot. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but I would make sure I get as wide as I can get. I would get the car hauler trailers and not the utility trailers, because the car hauler trailers are built with a stiffer frame, and you start loading stuff up on in there, you traveling around, it'll really get you a little more it'll last longer than the utility trailer will. Because my old trailer I used, it was a 20-foot car hauler trailer that I turned to a barbecue trailer. I used it for years, and I still use it today for like a backup trailer or for just catering events or whatever else. But it's got like a 6-inch beam going all the way to the tongue, so it's a solid trailer. But again, it's a car hauler trailer. It's not a utility trailer. So I noticed a trend where everybody is cutting their briskets down to almost nothing. It's just the way to go. Really kind of want to know a little more about that question and see kind of which time we cut it down to nothing. If you're saying that we take a brisket and I'm separating the point from the flat and I'm going to cook them as two individual pieces of meat, then yes, I would say that that's the way I'm doing it. I would cut it down to that, and then I'd get wherever it's going to be uniform and squared up and fit in the box. That's what I'm going for. Because again, you think about it, you got two. If it starts back up there, if you're doing the brisket, you got a point and a flat. All right, they're two different pieces of meat, two different muscles, and they'll cook totally different in there. So when you try to cook them all together here, you're going to basically saying, okay, what's my average between the two? Now you still do good barbecue that way, but when you're trying to get that slice from the flat, that points will not be rendered out as much as it would if you're doing it individually. Again, it also goes back down to what you can control. What's the pieces of this that you can control 100% or as much as possible? So if you have it, you've got that brisket shaped down, which will be the size of the box. Now you got controls. Now you can go on and focus on that brisket, working on it and getting the box. If the edge is overcooked, you can cut it down a little bit and still put it in the box. So I mean, I would totally do that. I would find out what can I do that allow me to have more control over it, be less stuff me have to worry with it at the end to give me the one bite challenge I'm looking for. And so when I'm looking for brisket, that's what I do. I separate it two. I trim it down about 8 inches. I know going into it, I'm gonna probably cut the edges of it off, and I'm gonna turn my slices in. And that's what it is. If they're a little bit narrow, it's not the end of the world. For me, my opinion on brisket, I want to have the best bites they can get. I think Darren worked on a show a while back, and he was talking about somebody was saying he only had 3 slices that were good. He's like, why you just cut them in half? Yeah, you get killed in appearance, but hey, it's still one bite. So it's a mindset going into it as far as judging. Whereas at home, you don't want to waste a brisket, and therefore you want to try to have the entire thing be flavorful. And I cook them at home all the time, one pieces. As far as a flat, the point attached. But sometimes when I'm doing competition, I always separate it. Yeah, I mean, that's a good trailer, 7 foot. I would get as tall as I can get it. You asked about 6.5 foot tall right here. If I could get 8.5 foot, I'd get 8.5 foot. I'd get it as tall as I can get that trailer. A horse trailer is going to definitely last you because it's built to haul a load over long distances. Car haulers, horse trailers are what I would focus on. What I would actually look at when I'm looking at a trailer is, number one, is what's the chassis going to be? And how's that chassis go from the chassis to the hitch? If it's got some 4-inch C-channel, then it's not going to take a load a long ways. If it's got a bunch of 6-inch square tubing, it's going to take a load, a lot more load for a long period of time. Got an Instagram question here. Will you share what's in your rib wrap? So I do my rib wrap a little bit different. My rib wrap, when I do a rib wrap, I have it where it's all my liquid, and the only thing I put on there is sugar and raw and butter. So in my rib wrap, I think I got Tennessee Red, some maple syrup, Blues Hog Original, and some Heath Riles. I think Heath Riles apple cherry habanero. Put it in there, and I've actually used Heath Riles sweet sauce. I've mixed them two also, but I'll take those and mix those ingredients for my rib wrap, and then I'll pour the liquid in there once I wrap them after I put my sugar and my butter on there. So I've done that. So that's another thing. I go to competition, I don't have to sit there and measure each one of them out. I've got it already in a jug. I know kind of how much I'm going to eat each rib, and so when I wrap them, I do it that way. That's a trick I learned. I'm trying to remember the guy that told me that. He had a horse trailer over here. He quit now, but they done that. They was telling us that a long time ago, and I just felt like it made sense. And since we've done that, we can do a little bit better with the ribs calls on that. So the question from Instagram here, that's my rib wrap. So I'm asking a lot of questions, but what kind of temperature on your brisket is best for slicing? So there's not a right temperature for brisket, but I will say this. I am after 208, I don't even look at my temperature probe on my brisket. I feel like for me, and I'm cooking 300 degrees on gateway drum, and I feel like when I hit 208 degrees, at that point, that brisket, I'm gonna start just going by feel. And depending on where I'm cooking at, and I may go in there and say, okay, and this is really the only difference I have where I'm depending on where I'm cooking at is I feel like okay, that's room temperature butter, that's money, that's what I'm gonna have. If I'm somewhere I think it's gonna maybe want it's a little bit more tender, or if I feel like it's gonna tighten up with the weather or whatever else, I may let go another 15 minutes. Um, we done a contest with Iron Station and the wind shifted on us, and that's one question you get to later on. But my two of my drums actually was purred like a kitten's, doing a great job. And then the wind shifted, and all of a sudden they just kind of just died on me, and that was just couldn't control it. The wind shifted on me, and I was messing with them, and so I had my brisket didn't come off to 1 o'clock, and so I want my brisket to be off around 12, and therefore it's got time to rest, and the juices kind of migrate back up into it. It's gonna be a juicy cut of meat, and I felt like it was a good brisket, but it didn't have time to rest. I put it on the counter trying to cool off so I can slice it, and I felt like it was a good sliced brisket. But again, that thing probably took another 15 minutes to get tasted, and all that stuff's changing that brisket. There ain't no telling what the judges tasted. So kind of goes back to a good question about this. I was talking to some people after the contest, and it was cold up there. And the guy was like, "Man, our food was perfect. We left the trailer. Man, we should be getting calls." I'm like, "Well, number one, that's not the way the judges are going to taste it." My headphones is dying on me here. So we got the head. Y'all can hear me all right. Let me know, but my headphones just died. So I hope y'all hear the ear echo. Yeah, we're doing the competition, and I was talking to him after the fact, and I said, what you're tasting in the trailer is not what the judges are tasting. You need to think about this when you're doing competition barbecue. When you turn the food in and it tastes your trailer and it's perfectly what you want to taste, it might be 15 minutes before the judges taste it, or it might be longer than that. And if it's cold outside, think you can take a piece of meat you cooking at home, carry it outside and it's 30 degrees, and you put it on the counter. You can let it sit for 10 minutes, bring it back inside into warm. Then you want to show it off. Then you want to taste it. I mean, that's just kind of what happens. A lot of things changes in that. So when you're tasting your food, Muttley Crew told me one time, he said, your food needs to taste really good cold. If your food tastes cold, and you go golden. And I think it's a good point. So when you're doing competition barbecue and you're doing anything like that, you need to kind of keep in mind what's happening in that time that leaves your trailer to the time it's going to get judged. It's not anything anybody's doing wrong. There's just different points of that step that we're not involved with. So it's going to possibly change the way it's being judged. So I hope that kind of answered that question on that. But as far as a brisket, I'm going to hit 208. I'm going to start going by feel. Then I'll kind of stuff. Yeah, it was interesting, but it's good. It's a good contest, and guys do a lot of good things for it. So it's a lot of fun with that. But appreciate the questions. Y'all keep asking. So the next question I had on here is, how would you select and prepare your meats for competition? This kind of question was talking about a little bit earlier. So when we doing chicken, I'm gonna go here and I buy chicken, and I cook 18 thighs at contest, and I'll go to the grocery store and I'll probably buy either 6 or 7 4-packs of Spring Mountain Farm chicken thighs, and I'll come here and I will start trimming them. If I get one that's really small, I'll just throw it to the side. But mostly I'll get one by every 4 packs for that, and then I'll just start trimming them. And if I'm trimming my chicken and I see it's got bruised meat, I put it to the side. But I may pull the skin off and use it for one later on that I may find it's got a good piece of meat, but it's been processed a little bit odd and the skin's a little bit different. So, excuse me. So that's what I'm looking for with chicken. Then I'm gonna kind of trim them up. I used to weigh them. I used to have it weighed them, and everyone was the same weight. Got lazy, just didn't see like I was getting results off of that. I felt like I was cutting too much of them off, and I felt like I was actually causing more problems because I'm taking a piece of meat and making it do what it's not originally going to do. And so now I just trim them down and get the ones that's close to the same size, and that's what I turn in. Well, that's what I work with and carried 18 to the contest. And the rest of them, we'll make chicken furlough, chicken salad, whatever we do at the house. So we do a lot of different stuff with that. But that's what we do for chicken. For ribs, So Heavy Smoke had a class, and I never thought about that till I heard him have that in the class. Chris was talking about class. He carries 4 racks of ribs that are the same side of ribs. And so basically, with a pig, you got left and right side ribs. And so if you go to a contest and you've got two, I cook 4, and you got 2 lefts and 2 rights, and let's say you need to mix and match, it's gonna be a little hard to mix and match when you pulling 1 left and 5 off the right side of them. So it makes sense to go to contest and have uniform, all the same side of the pig, right or left, whatever it is, and look at that. The other thing I look at is no shiners. Make sure I get some decent marbling, and make sure I get some good thickness. I think it's 3 1/4 ribs. And that's what I kind of look for, to get uniform, straightest bones I can get. But at the end of the day, I'm really wanting to try to carry the same side to the competitions and have the most marble ribs I can get. And then I'll trim them here at the house on Wednesday. I cut them down to about 10 bones, and I'll back and seal them up. And I go to the contest, and on Friday night, I'll just go in there and take some sugar and raw and put on them, put them back in the Cambro with the ice or the cooler, and then start my process in the mornings with them. On pork, I have been doing pork collars lately from Cordy Meats. I've been using their products. Got really good products in there. Prairie Fresh Primes. Nice pork collars, because I'm really kind of just been turning in money muscles. And the reason for that, and I actually think this is probably hurting us some, but it goes back to what I can control. And if I turn in 3 or 4 different types of pork, then it's going to be challenging sometimes to find out which one of those is getting me a low score. If I turn in just money muscles and I get hit hard on money muscles, then okay, I say, well, that was a failure. Now, I know last year in Wise, Virginia, a guy turned in pulled pork and won pork. So I don't know if that philosophy has any weight to it, but that's just kind of what we've been doing lately. Again, it's what I can control, and that's what we're getting at. But I usually try to get 4 or 5 pork collars. Just kind of got a good size to them. We'll try and get as uniform as possible. So again, when I'm cooking, I want them all to come off at the same time, because I really don't want, what I don't want to do is one come off, I put it in cold Cambro, and then it ain't worth crap having. So I try to keep them as uniform as possible on that. And brisket, I get Snake River Farms briskets. I do the gold. I do the blacks, 18, 22 pounds, so I can get my hands on. And if you're interested in brisket, go to my links down there and go to Snake River Farms and use Elite BBQ 10, get 10% off. If you do that, I get a commission off of that, so please do that. If you're buying briskets anyhow, go check it out. And if you have any issues with that, they're really good to help with, and I'll be happy to. I've been happy to talk with you, talk with them, whatever. But they've been really good over years for me. So that's kind of what we go with all of that. But it makes a little bit of sense. All right, I got a question over here. It says, how do you tell a right from the left? So when you put them on the counter and you taking a rack of ribs and you take the brisket, the top of put it down, and if you have the big bones on the right hand side, then that's one side of rib. If you have the big bones on the other side, that's the other side of rib. So right hand side, I think it's going to start with the big bones at the front. Excuse me, left hand side is the big bones at the front and the small bones at the back. The right hand side is going to be the big bones on your left hand side, small bones on your right. So you get that, when you're looking at it, you basically want to have it so you get all the big bones on either left or right. So you get 4 racks of ribs that's going to have the same cut in the box. When you mix and match, and if you need to mix and match, you can put it there in the box that way. When you cut them down, how many inches do you want? Sorry, I'm not sure if you're talking about, I'm assuming brisket, but I'm thinking that's what you're talking about here. So brisket, I usually go to the contest. It's going to be about an 8-inch brisket, 7.5 to 8-inch brisket. And when I cut it down in the box, it's going to really depend on where it starts fraying. Because usually on the edge of mine with the gateway drum, usually about a 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch on each side, it'll start fraying, and I'll just cut that down. And it makes a heck of an omelet, just trimmings and stuff. And I don't want that in the box, because I don't want that to be a piece that breaks off for whatever reason and makes somebody ask questions. So that's what I've got. Better late than never. I'm not sure what that was the question about. Following on that. So, got questions? Let me know what it was if I missed it. Appreciate y'all watching the show. So, next one's, what are the key criteria judges use to evaluate competition barbecue? Well, when you're looking at Kansas City Barbecue Society, KCBS, what I normally cook in there, you got appearance, you got taste, and you got texture. That's the 3 scores. Taste gets the highest score, texture is the second highest score, and appearance is the lowest score, third highest score. So that's what we're going with, and we go on the scale of like 9s. Shit, mine just went blank. So you get scored, you get like a perfect 180. You get all the scores you get. So that's kind of what we get into with competitions from criteria. Now, if you're doing the South Carolina Barbecue Association, they have 2 other criteria. It's aroma and overall impression. So it kind of gives you some different things that you have to shoot for. I think the South SBN is the same 3 categories: appearance, taste, and textures. And I'm pretty sure most of the rest of them are the same thing. They change the way they're scoring, but I think they're pretty much the same on that. Just got tuned in. But that's kind of that's what we look for when we're doing that. So my turn, but kind of backing up here. So if I'm turning food in, like I was talking about earlier with the brisket, Darren said total got it cut in half. The lowest scoring is appearance. So if it's going to taste good and have good texture, but I know it ain't going to look the best in the world, then I don't want to put 2 more pieces or 3 more pieces in the box. It's not going to have that perfect bite, that perfect taste. So I would say, again, cut it in half. You're looking for 1 bite challenge. It might hit you on appearance, but if you lose a point or 2 points on appearance, it's not going to take away from it. But if you have all perfect scores on appearance, but you getting 2 scores is killing you on texture and taste from 2 different pieces of meat, I mean, you DOA. So I would strongly look at it from when you're doing that is just putting your best in the box, your best 6 in the box. Now, you can't do that with ribs. I mean, you got to put 6 in the box, and you may have to sacrifice with 1. But again, don't ever just put 1 rack of ribs in the box. If you've got the ribs in there and take 4 racks of ribs, and you got 1 of each, that's good. Put 1 of each of those in there, and then take your second rates on the other 2 you got put in there. And that's when you go back to right and left hand ribs. So I mean, when I stopped trying to put 1 rack of ribs in the box, that really helped us with rib scores. So I mean, that is something other truly to look at. Putting your best in the box. That really makes a big difference in that. Just doing that. Yeah. Aroma and overall is why I'm not doing SCBA no more. I loved it. I loved going local and helping the guys out and stuff here. And I think it's a great organization, great stuff. But the aroma overall at the end of it, I mean, I can't control appearance. I can control taste. I can control texture to a degree. I can only do appearance by what I think it looks good. But when you start adding in now, you got aroma, and now you got overall impression. I can't control that, and so I'm like, and you giving me, I can only control 2 out of 5 categories. It's just it's challenging for me to justify keep doing it. Someone got a haircut. Well, I got shaved. Well, you hear this? This thing is bald too. I had to. I was sitting in a meeting the other day, and about to sweat to death in my head. But now I don't have the problem. It's gotten short. Beard got trimmed. Can't help a table that averages 163. No, I mean that's a challenging to it with that, and that's something that KCBS is working on, doing a lot of stuff with that. I'm not getting those comments. That's getting a little too on the cuff of somebody. Where we at? Where we at now? I think we're on this one right here. 4. Can you share a unique or secret ingredient that helps that sets your barbecue apart? MSG. No, I'm joking. What I would say on that is a balanced flavor. To me, I'm eating anything in the house. I like salt. Michelle, she's cooking, and I'm always like, why don't we put any salt in it? So that goes back to a good example though is I'm looking for salt. She is looking for heat. And so when you start looking at that and you say, okay, well, what's my secret ingredient? Well, you got to think about this here. If I'm judging a barbecue contest and she's judging it, I got a piece of brisket right here that I feel like it's got a good saltiness to it, and perfect with me, then I'm like, I'm all for it. But with her, if it's salty, she's gonna really not like it. But with me, if I've got heat and it don't go away, then to me that's not gonna be an appealing taste to me. But with her, I mean, it'll be all over her. So you got to kind of look at it, and again, go with a balanced flavor. And so what I would say is, if you want to have a balanced flavor, I would say what you want to do it when you taste a piece of meat. I'm gonna use chicken example, and my chicken's got a little bit of heat to it. So what I want to do is, you taste it, pick it up, you taste a little bit of savoriness to it, you taste some moisture to it, then you get some sweetness into it, then you get a little bit of heat. When you put it down, you pick up a pencil, the heat's gone. That's a balanced flavor for me. That's what I feel like. It's a very balanced flavor. I'm getting all of those flavors I'm looking for, but none of them is just slapping upside the head. So when you start looking at what's a secret ingredient would be in there, would actually be a balance. So Heath Riles products, when we using his stuff for pork, he's got that sweet sauce. It's really good sweet sauce. But I'm gonna take it and also use his tangy vinegar sauce to kind of blend them a little bit, so I get a balanced flavor. So now I get that little bit of that sweetness from the sweet sauce. I get a little bit of that vinegar sauce, a little bit of heat coming back into it, the tanginess into it, and when I go to write the score, it's gone. So that's what I'm looking for when I'm doing that. So the secret ingredient would actually be whatever can get balance. Now, MSG is going to kind of give you kind of a salt, a umami, they say, with some salt. So Donnie Bray taught a class years ago, 2014. I took that class, and he was basically saying, look at it as a baked potato. So what do you do to baked potato? You're gonna add butter to it, have sour cream to it, cheese to it, whatever, but you'll always add salt to it. So when you're looking at that, salt could be that secret ingredient. Don't overpower the salt, but but you need something in there, because you need to have a kind of a compatible flavor there to do it. So I would really say you kind of, if you look at the salt side of it, it can be kind of very helpful for that. But again, that's my personal preference. Talking too much tonight. How important is the type of wood or smoke used in competition barbecue? All right, so now this is going to get into a debate question. It's going to truly depend on what type of smoker you have and what your thought process on that is. With the Gateway drum smokers, I'm putting in about 2 or 3 chunks of either post oak, pecan, or hickory, depending on what meat I'm cooking, and I'm gonna put that in there and let that go in there. With stick burners, you got some guys running stick burners and running hickory, so running pecan, running post oak. That's kind of what you're seeing. You got some guys running stick burners and up to charcoal. So it's going to really be what the flavors you have, because go back to what we're talking about with the flavors. Whatever's going to complement the food you're cooking is what you want to have. So if I'm coming here and I'm doing kind of a hickory wood on my stick burner, this stick burner is insulated, so I'll get in that in a minute. But when I'm doing my old stick burner, it wasn't insulated, and I'm cooking on hickory onto it, it can give it kind of a little bit of an off flavor to it sometimes. But what I was thinking at the time, that it was the wood, and really truly it wasn't the wood. It was, I wasn't taking consideration that the flavor that hickory is putting in that wood needs to be compatible with the rubs I put on my wood. So if I'm doing a hickory wood, straight hickory on everything, then I need to make sure that my rubs will be adding sweetness into it, or it's going to be adding a little bit of heat to it, adding something else to it, that my hickory is going to help complement it. When I'm doing a pecan rub, pecan to me gives a little bit of a nuttier, a little milder flavor to it. So I can back down on those rubs a little bit, or I can add some different rubs to kind of complement that. If I'm doing like a cherry, now I've played with cherry, and a couple times I played with it, I was getting some heat to it. So I don't know if I was doing something wrong. I really had never played with it about twice. So to me, cherry was just, it didn't really work for my flavor, so I didn't mess with it. But if you go over here and you start using like a mesquite, then you got to understand that mesquite's gonna give you a flavor in there that if you add other flavors to it, then it's gonna overpower it. So it's something to kind of consider. Like look at the wood you have as far as like what is it going to be compatible with what you're cooking on. And so that's kind of the way I would look at that. So we got some questions here. Pecan wood. I mean, that's what I use most time on stick burner. Hickory and fruit wood. And peach is good and stuff here. Got some good flavor to it. Again, hickory's good wood. Now my stick burner, I don't get that off flavor from hickory because it's run so efficient. That's the other thing about it is when I was my stick burner insulated and so efficient, it's never smoldering. It's just clean heat. And I think the other ones are not necessarily a clean heat, but then that was 15 years ago, whatever. Run hickory for brisket and pork and cherry for ribs. See, he's got cherry going on here. And like I said, I don't have nothing against that. It just could have been what I was doing wrong. I use royal oak. Lump charcoal, I'm going to use royal oak charcoal. I like that. Been playing around with it here at the house and mixing a little bit of briquettes with the lump. But I'm going to use royal oak charcoal. I've never used white oak. Not to my knowledge around here. I know I've never used white oak, but I don't know that I have that much white oak around here. We got hickory, we got some pecans, and some walnut and stuff. But most time it's around here it's hickory or just regular oak. Well, I was just talking about cherry wood, so I reckon that's what I got. Gary uses it and he does very well with it. He says cherry is a mild flavor, but beautiful color. Now I will agree with that. Cherry can add some awesome color to it. You really got a good balanced color to it. But that's kind of the way we look at it with that. So number 5, what we got here? How important? Oh, we went through number 5. All right, let's go to 6. What's the biggest challenges faced in competition barbecue? Consistency. That's the biggest challenge that I feel like we face in competition barbecue. I say that with the consistency at when we travel from one area to the next area, and we do good one weekend, and the next weekend we feel like we're in mid pack, bottom of the bag, and go back and we do us another one that's good. I feel like that it's going to be consistency is like how can we stay consistent. But the reality of it is this: everybody is really good. Everybody's trying some very similar foods, and it can be a luck of the tables. It can be just somebody had a perfect day. Casual Smokers down there in Iron Station, I mean, he whipped everybody's butt, had an awesome day. So it could have been just that everybody just hit their marks. But again, if I was saying like me and Michelle were talking about the other day, what do we need to do to be consistent? I should say, what do we need to do to be consistently good? Because that's kind of what we're struggling with. Like we keep doing it and keep doing it, and we enjoy it. But you go one day and you're a hero, next day you're not. You kind of just beat your head against like it's the same food, tastes the same, process the same, and different things. And you have to be honest with yourself. Then, all right, okay, it's great food. Be honest with yourself, like, okay, what was different about it? Was it the temperature outside? Was the humidity outside? Was it how far the walk was? Was it the a different? Did the wind shift like it did in Iron Station? What's going on with it? What was the outside factors that I didn't have that control? And that's why I kind of get back to is taking notes and really start taking notes. And you with the phones you got today's, you can do all kind of notes on your phones and can keep it later on. But I think it is, like Carrie said here, have a repeatable process that you follow to a letter and make notes. I mean, that's what it is. You basically create a game plan and you keep chasing that game plan, keep doing the same thing over and over. We're doing that. Now, when you start saying that same question, and then you're going to be asking like, okay, well, I didn't do good. I need to make a change. Well, yes and no. So if you look at it, we've done the same recipe down in Florida. We got Reserve Grand. We've done the same recipe in Iron Station, and we didn't get Reserve Grand. So do I need to change recipes? Or is it the weather change, the temperature change, the area changes, different judges, that maybe it's just, and I'm in that area, something different's going to happen. And we go down somewhere else, we do good. So go by the law of threes. But that gets back to the other question is, how much competition cooking are you doing? If you're doing like we're doing right now, probably cutting back to one a month, then these guys here that's cooking every weekend, they can tweak stuff and see a change coming before I ever know about it. So that's the other side of the coin is just practice, be consistent with it, and keep working on it. It's one of the beauties of practicing on the gateway or cooking on the drums, is when you start doing that, you can practice one meat, because normally you cook one meat on a drum anyhow. So that's something other kind of, it's a good point to have. But flavors on stick burners is, I mean, it's old school. It's gonna give you some of the best flavor out there. And so if you just, that's what you're comfortable with, just practice on it. If you're doing it, put some water pans in there. Just practice on what you're cooking and put something else in there to give you the same capacity, airflow. So when you are practicing at home, you're getting a very genuine practice on there. But yeah, it's good points to have on that. That's kind of what I would look at with that. This kind of gets into the question, how do you balance tradition with innovation in your barbecue techniques and flavors? So just like NASCAR, everybody is trying to find that one little piece that's going to give them the edge. And that's just, sometimes you take a gamble. A gamble pays off, and sometimes a gamble don't pay off. I know we were trying to get some sweetness into our chicken, and so I was taking sugar, grinding it up, basically making powdered sugar out of it, and trying to get this sweetness into the chicken that way. The other way I've done is doing some honeys in the rubs when I'm putting the box, different finishing dust. So there's different things out there to kind of innovation. And this is a good point to make. Invite some judges to cook with you, get some feedback. It'll be eye-opening for both of you. It'll be truly be eye-opening in there. They'll be able to get point of views what judges are looking for in the judging tent, and give them an eye-opening experience of what all you're going through, what you're doing, making it happen. But again, what we said earlier in there, when you're doing that, the judges tasting it, understand this. It's not what it leaves your trailer. It's going to be 10 or 15 minutes later when the other judges are going to taste it. That's what you need to be focusing on. Not here, but then. So when you leave your trailer, it's the best food you ever cooked in your life. Just put something to the side and taste it 15 minutes later. That's when truly be able to tell you what the other judges were tasting. I mean, it sounds crazy, but think about it. And if you ever go judge a contest, get a little piece of paper on there and write down what time you started judging foods. That'll give you an idea of the turn-in window. When did I actually start tasting food? All right. So did the first table get it chicken at 12:02? The last table get chicken at 12:08? You know, it's just something other than it's something to keep in mind. But yeah, like Carrie saying here, probably said earlier in the show, it needs to taste good cold. If it tastes good cold, then man, you can be rocking and rolling. But it needs to taste good cold. So that's what I would that's how I would balance that techniques. I would figure out like what can I do to kind of get my food here to stand out a little bit, but not stand out the wrong way. So you kind of need to keep tweaking it. But a perfect example of the innovations on there, for me, I started taking my chicken and taking my half pans and put my butter in it, sit on top of my drums and letting the butter melt. That way I felt like it was uniform. All the heat's going around it, so allow me to have a more consistent cook with my chicken. Now, is that going to necessarily, is it works? Is it right or wrong? I don't know, but it sounded good, and I felt like it's not going to hurt anything. Just like with my ribs, I pre-make all my wrap with the liquid in the ribs, and I just pour it in there. I can control it. I feel like it's got everyone's uniform. So there's some good techniques that I felt like over the time we started making it happen, I felt like it helped out a little bit. Can you describe a particularly memorable competition experience? Winning my first grand champion at the band BBQ. We were sitting there, Johnny Trigg sitting beside me. We got a few calls, and I wouldn't say new to the game, but I was a very inexperienced cook. We just kind of midfield teams. And Johnny Trigg is sitting there, and he looked at me and said, "You won this thing." I'm like, "Ain't no way." Man's telling me I just won the contest. I'm like, seriously? And we won the contest. And I jumped up, And we got to the stage, and it was absolutely insane. And it was probably one of the most memorable moments of our life. I'm sitting there, and I got Johnny Trigg telling me I won the contest. And then we get up there, and it's a whole banjo BBQ, got the bands playing. It was awesome experience. So that's probably the most memorable event for us in Competition BBQ was winning that first GC. We won other contests at Boss Hog, and John Trey was there too. So I told him, I said, he's my good luck charm. I reckon he'd carry me everywhere we go. But getting first calls of doing that. But I would also say it's really truly been the friendships we built. It's kind of been just the people we talk. I talk to my barbecue friends about it every day. I mean, at least one every day, most of the time 2 or 3 a day. And just kind of just what's going on with them. If you need to vent, you got a friend that calls me and he lets me know when he needs just to vent. So I just sit there and laugh with him and hear it. And at the same time, if I need to be upset about something, I can call somebody and want to basically just share our woes on barbecue, or like Carrie right here. Sometimes you need to talk to somebody when you're driving home. You just get in that truck, you just need to keep your eyes open. And so I think we come from Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken. And we probably talked on the phone for, might have been Kansas City. Yeah, we talked forever on the phone, just getting out of the contest and trying to get back to home. The whole time, just pretty much talked. We probably went to sleep. So, I mean, it's just relationships you build. But that first call you get, and the first call we got in barbecue was in Walterburg, South Carolina. Got 4th place pork, got like a little rocking chair trophy. And that was, no, it's a little plaque. They had the rocking chairs. I didn't quite make it rocking chairs. Little plaque. That's the first trophy we get. And it was just like, whew, all this effort. I finally got my name called, and we just had a good time with it. But I think that's kind of memorable moments. But it's amazing people you'll meet all over the place. And it's definitely something other to get into, be part of another team, go cook with some other guys, just get some friends, go there and just have a good time contest. And I promise you, we'll help you every way we can help you. Every team out there will do it. Although I want you to cook good food. I mean, that's what the whole purpose of the show is get people out there and get them encouraged to go out there and do their thing. So how do you see the future of competition barbecue evolving? So barbecue is always evolving. KCBS has done some stuff here in the last several years with the J Cup with judging, with some different stuff to kind of help get the judging for the cook's opinion, to kind of get it more where it's uniform. I felt some of us, including myself, on some occasions, felt like the judging was just a little bit too much Wild West on certain things. But I know they're doing that, so it's constantly evolving in that. There's some other sanctioning bodies coming over, CBA is coming on, and that's going to be some different stuff going. Where it's going to be at in several years, honestly, it's going to really depend on if they can start getting some more attention to it, because a lot of guys really got familiar with barbecue when they were doing that the barbecue TV show that was on with Myron Mix and Tuffy Stone and them. Can't remember the name of it, Barbecue Superstars or something other. That's kind of whenever it really started getting a lot of people got into it. Then 9/11 happened, and then everybody was going to get out there and be together and share and hang out. And a lot of that stuff is kind of going through there, and it's creating some unity. And I think barbecue was one of the aspects that we had where we can kind of just go out there and be unified. We go out there and be part of it. Yeah, we compete against each other, but at the end of the day, we're still hanging out and having a good time with that. And so I think that's what it has. I think right now, a lot of there's some division stuff going on that I think that we need something to unify us. And if the barbecue can be that, competition type things, this type of stuff here, racing, whatever else. But I think with the friendships and relationships between barbecue, it's unlike anything else. So I think that's going to happen. So I think it'll continue to be competition barbecue. Cost is going to continue to be a factor with inflation. So I know a lot of people are trying to figure out how to do that. I would love to see it with barbecue, whereas there's not necessarily a backyard and pro. You basically got two meets, you got four meets got contest, and so it can let somebody, if they just want to go cook two meets, they can just do two meets. If they can do all four, they can do all four. Because at the end of the day, the judging is the same for that. So I think that'd be kind of cool to see. But again, that's just my opinion on that. Did you want what? Did you want David Dickens doing Williamsburg to get the public involved? I'm not sure what he's doing there. I'm probably have him on a show here in a couple weeks, so I'm not sure exactly what it was. Yeah, coming home to Arkansas 5 hours. Going home 5 hours. Now it takes a little bit to figure out what you're going to talk about for 5 hours, but we'll still keep each other alive 5 hours. Uh, I think we need to get the public involved, but I think you need to look at the public involvement um, differently than a lot of people. So, what I would actually encourage with the public involvement is not necessarily just go into the teams and getting them to do people's choice, because I think they'll do that, especially if you have a tent to turn it in. But in Myrtle Beach, several years ago, we had a contest in Myrtle Beach. We actually had a people's choice contest within a contest. And so we actually went to some locals and went to some whoever wanted to it and be like, hey, it's free entry to do people's choice. You don't have to do the KCBS, just the people's choice side of it's a free entry. You come out there, you turn some tickets in, you can get like a 25% or 30% or 50% on the return, and they can do that and then have a chance to win money. And then you start taking the people that are doing people's choice and kind of mix them inside the teams, and they got the public involved out there. They got all these people that are set up just to serve the people's choice out there, and now you've got kind of the public involved with it, public in the middle of everything, and that turned out to be very good. I think we had 6 or 8 teams, and they fed, I don't know, a lot of people. I don't know the numbers, but I feel like you need to go something along that route. So I feel like you need to get the public kind of in there with the teams to see it. But when you start trying to get the teams to come over yonder, just try to go home that night and getting ready, everything cleaned up and do people's choice, a lot of them just don't want to do that. A lot of them not set, especially single one person team. It's really hard to do it one person team. Now, if you got somebody beside me that's doing people's choice, I can go on and give them some extra barbecue to do it and get through competition barbecue. But it also goes back to quality we cooking. When I used to cook 4 full butts. Now I'm cooking 5 pork collars. So there's a whole lot of difference in the amount of meat I've got, going from 4 Boston butts to basically 5 pork collars. I don't have that much pork there to give out people's choice. And the ribs, same thing. I don't really have that much leftover food. I'm getting done with it to have all this leftover food to give out. So it's definitely something other to think about when you're doing that. But I think people's choice is a good idea, but I think it's something that can be done. Pizza challenge events, and I always get the public involved. Yeah, man, I think it'd be cool. I'm gonna tell you something. We done a contest there in Pinehurst, North Carolina, Pine Ridge, South Carolina, at a campground. And we had the bright idea to feed everybody pizzas. Me, Brian Corbett, Brian Turner have probably never worked so hard at a barbecue contest in our life of fixing everybody pizza out there. Had a blast, but them guys won't allow me to organize the food on the Thursday night or Friday night ever again. They won't let me do it. But we had a good time. That was crazy. So what advice would I give somebody that's starting out in barbecue? I would say be a judge. Go judge the food to see what the reality of it is. Follow on YouTube. Take a barbecue class, even a beginner's class, and get an idea of what that is. Find out what type of smokers that's going to work for your process that you can afford, and the people are doing it to do it. So what I'm saying by this, I started competition barbecue building my own smokers. I got here and trying to sell my own smokers, and that was fine. I enjoyed doing it. Love building smokers. But what was reality is that smoker cooked different than anybody else's smokers is what I built. Nobody else used them. So if I was taking Warren County Chopper's recipe and trying to make it work on my rig that cooked totally different, the flavor wasn't gonna be the same. But if I took gateway drums class, I took on gateway drums, then that flavor is going to be pretty much close, or at least be in the same ballpark. And so that's something to think about, is just keep in mind that process. So yeah, it was great eating and making pizzas. We truly made a lot of pizzas. It was fun. That boy's gonna kill me one day with that. Know what you're getting into. Competition barbecue. Excuse me. Know what you get into, but I'd go out there and take a class, go judge some contests, find out what the smokers are, practice it, something to do. So you go do a contest, get an idea of what you're getting into. I think a lot of people now, if you just want to have a good time with it, come on, come hang out. Come out there and have a good time with it and enjoy it and be part of it. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And then you'll start getting competitive. But there's nothing wrong with just coming out there and just being part of it and having a good time with it. I would totally encourage anybody in the world to do that. Oh, got something wrong here. So I mean, I would encourage anybody to just go out there and have a good time with it. But if you want to try to do it to be competitive in there, then that's the process I would do. Get some rubs, get some processes. Heath Riles got some awesome products. I would start off with him, his classes. I mean, his YouTube videos, some classes on using products. Again, consistency you got. But that's what I would do if I was starting out tomorrow. I also have to understand that when I started this, I felt like I'm going to go out there the first time and cook and win a contest. It didn't happen. The reason it didn't happen is because I didn't know what I was getting into. But with the information out there today, is so much more information out there today that somebody starting out, where it took me 5-6 years to get that learning curve, you can out the be doing it in 3 months. So there's a lot shorter learning curve with all the information out there to allow you to be competitive. Because when I was doing, man, nobody shared pictures of boxes. We were great friends, but we didn't want nobody to see what our box looked like in SCBA. That was top secret information, man. You go to jail for that stuff. I'm joking with that, but that's kind of the way we look at it and stuff. But that's kind of what I would look at tomorrow if I was getting a barbecue. That's the questions I would be asking on there. But that's what we have. So if we're still looking at doing the collaborations with some stuff, let's try it again. We're still looking at doing the collaborations. So we're gonna basically just try to get some other people who want to start videos, YouTube videos, Facebook videos, just kind of get together, pick a protein, and we just try to see if we can coordinate some people just want to just post on this week or this month or whatever, and just kind of share it with each other. I'd love to do some of that. We get them on the show here. We can kind of talk about the recipes they had, what they learned about it, and kind of share some information about that. I think that's pretty cool. So if you're interested in that, just like message me. I'll be happy to kind of get you on the list so we can put that together. We're gonna look at doing some trying to coordinate some event people so we can go to different areas and kind of cook some cookies, film it, get 2 or 3 people to hang out somewhere in different areas and kind of just do a live actions on location somewhere. So if that's something that you want to be part of or somewhere you want to host, let me know. I think it's kind of cool to do that in different areas of the country. We'll try to do some more of that this year, kind of get out there and get involved with some different sides of it. But if you have any questions on that, seriously reach out to me on that. There's a lot of work in YouTube videos, isn't there? Yeah, there's a lot. But it's also one of the things like riding a bicycle. If you start doing, if you start riding a bicycle, you're gonna fall down. You have to learn how to ride a bicycle. Next thing you know, you're riding a bicycle. Then you're gonna be riding a speed bike, or then you're gonna be riding a fast bike. Then you'll be riding a motorcycle. So I mean, there's a lot of things that do it, but it's like anything else. You got to look at the marathon side of it. Getting out there doing it. I'm hoping that looking at it from collaboration side of it, some different people, kind of helps some different people kind of create a group, a network, kind of just share some information, share some learning curves, see some different things that we've all kind of went through and learned. Also give them the idea to basically share videos amongst a group, kind of help somebody eliminate some of that growing pains, give them a leg up. So I mean, that's kind of what my goal on that is, to try to help some other people learn what I've learned from mistakes I've made and kind of help each other grow. We're not a huge channel, so I don't want nobody to get the idea that I'm gonna do this and you're gonna all of a sudden get monetized in 2 weeks. That ain't gonna happen. But at the same time, is when you do get there, I think some stuff we can kind of work with each other on and share recipes, or share not recipes, but share some techniques and ideas. It'll be pretty cool. I mean, I told somebody the other day, if they see me film a video, they'll be scratching their head because I do the intro at the end because my finished product's there at the end. So that's when I do the intro. I start at this point, and so I can put it all together and make it make sense. But it's one of the things, and the other thing about it is, I've kind of gotten now. If I'm filming a video and I feel like it ain't working, then okay, that's a practice cook. We're gonna have to redo it later on because if it ain't flowing, it ain't no sense in trying to keep digging that ditch and fill it with water. It just ain't gonna work. It just ain't gonna work. Yeah, we're cooking Lebanon. We're gonna be heading up to Lebanon up there and doing that contest. So I'm gonna be seeing y'all up there. We didn't rent the golf cart, so that's not a mistake. But I'm hoping Jason Cole will let me at least say I got a song. Everyone I see him, he keeps saying somebody else has selected it. So, but yeah, we're gonna do Lebanon. It'll be a fun contest. Anybody's out there come by and see me? Got a black trailer. I'm kind of incognito now, so I don't have no much signs on it yet. I got to get signage on it, but that's kind of what we're doing. But this is, again, some questions we've got not asked, and they're kind of over the years. I kind of put it together. Feel like it'd be a decent show. Just kind of go through some of the questions on there. But at the end of the day, the whole goal about this whole show is y'all get out there and cook. If you're cooking, keep doing it. If anything I help y'all with, let me know. But just yet not, you curious about it, just go out there and try it, man. I promise you, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to get into. And it'll make you scratch your head a little bit. At the end of the day, you'll have a good time with it. So just go out there and cook. Appreciate y'all watching with the show. We're doing this. You go to barbecue YouTube music and look at the barbecue roundtable. You can see some old episodes we've had. I hope one day we'll be able to take this information and put it on podcast. Check that out. Again, go to the YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe to the page. We're gonna look at doing a barbecue class here. I think we're looking at May, first weekend in May, doing one here at the house. Kind of an introduction style barbecue, going through the process, and just kind of show some different things we're gonna have. Hopefully, share some techniques with people, so that you can kind of get confident what you got. It ain't gonna be about, I think it'll be $200, just enough to cover the meat and stuff. So if you're interested in that, let me know. We're down here at the beach. Come out here and hang out sometime. Let the family lay on the beach, and you come over here to do a class for a while. You're gonna be able to drink a little bit and eat some good food. So if you're curious about that, let me know. No, we're not doing an online class. I haven't really figured out how to do all that yet. I don't know that I think our YouTube channel needs to get a little bit more before we start doing that. But I don't know. I have to look into that. But this is going to be something that kind of be here on site. If we can make it online, that'd be something cool to do. But it's definitely something that we can kind of try to work on in the future. And I might see if we can make that work too. But the intent right now is just be here on the in person. We'll do it here at the house and stuff. So if y'all want to check it out, let me know. Send me a message on there. Appreciate the information. I hope I have something flying. Come on that next week or so. But appreciate y'all watching. Again, go YouTube, like, share, subscribe to our channel. You got any questions, anything I can do, let me know. Love to help you out. See y'all next time.